Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Russell will inbound at half court. Stockton, open three. Hit it! John Stockton sends the Utah Jazz to the NBA Finals.
17 seconds from Game 7 or from championship number 6. Jordan, open. Chicago with the lead.
I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we're talking about practice.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
The game is in the books. The players are in the locker room. Now it's their turn. David Vito and John Gerke break down all the action. It's time for Sports at Home with Vito and Gerke.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you guys for being a part of today's show. Welcome to the new and improved David Vito Show right here on Sports at Home. I'm your host, David Vito. Thank you guys for being along for the ride today. Big day in sports. Again, the brand new and improved. This is the David Vito Show on Sports at Home Radio. Thank you guys for making me a part of your day. North to south, east to west, from the Great Salt Lake, right here in Salt Lake City, Utah, all the way across the country. Thank you guys for making me, David Vito, a part of your day. What a day in sports, like I was just saying. Wow. Did everyone enjoy the World Cup today? I mean, I loved it. I loved the action today watching the games. Yes, I know, everyone who's listening right now, well, USA lost. Well, yeah, they lost, but they won. They lost 1-0 to Germany today. But they're advancing to the round of 16. Congratulations to the United States of America soccer team here. And how about our very own Kyle Beckerman? What a contribution he's been to the USA team. Outstanding. Here in just about 10 minutes, Sports Home FC on Twitter. Ian Thompson's getting ready to join me. We're going to be talking everything soccer today. We're going to be talking how Ronaldo he really crushed Americans' hearts last week, didn't he, on Sunday? And he was really a saver today. We'll talk about that and much more coming up here in just about 10 to 15 minutes of the program today. Also, what a great lineup we have today. Ian stopping by to talk some soccer. Then we got Courtney Gardner. Yes, he's been around. He's been missing. He's ready to jump back on the program today to talk what else? At Sports at Home PGA on Twitter. You can find Courtney tweeting out all the latest news of the golf scene around. Yeah, we're going to be talking about one guy who's been missing like Courtney has, Tiger Woods. We'll talk with that, much more with Courtney Gardner coming up here on the second hour of today's show. And that's not all we have for the second hour. Like I said, we got a jam-packed show today. And, wait a minute, isn't today the NBA draft? We're going to be touching on that and much more today. I'm excited. What a great day it's been already to start off today in Salt Lake City. Again, our last guest today on the show is Dakota Bowman. Again, another guy that hasn't really been around a lot on the show, but he's a fan favorite right here on the Sports at Home Radio. We're going to be talking with him all the way to MLB news and notes today. How about a Giants pitcher throws his second no-hitter? Is a certain pitcher in Tampa Bay, is he really underrated, and should we give him more praise? Also, we'll be talking about his top 5 teams in the Major League Baseball right now in his second official power rankings of the season this year. As always, you guys want to interact with me throughout the show, you can. Twitter, Sports at Home, VNG. Also, you can follow us on Facebook at Sports at Home Radio. If you want to follow me personally on Twitter, go ahead, as I'm the Utah Grizzlies beat writer for Deseret News, as I gave a great story the other day about how the conference has shifted, in a sense. It's all up there on DeseretNews.com. Make sure you go check that out. You can follow me personally on Twitter, at RealDavidVito. Make sure you guys do that. And follow all of our other great insiders as well. Like I said, it's been a great day in sports. We talked a little bit of soccer there. We got Ian Thompson getting ready to join me here in a few. The Utah Jazz are going to be holding their annual draft party. I'm going to be going there right after the show today to go I talked to Bowerjack last time I was there. Maybe I can try to, maybe get an interview to get on the show for tomorrow to get his take on what's going around for what the Utah Jazz did tonight in the NBA draft and what they maybe should have done. First off, let's talk a little bit of NBA news and notes about a couple trades that's been going down the last couple days. If you guys follow us on our Facebook page and Twitter, we broke this story yesterday. We talked about it, where the New York Knicks, it looks like they're trying to make a little bit of noise here in the NBA as they've made a trade with the Dallas Mavericks yesterday. Tyson Chandler and Raymond Felton are heading to Dallas in exchange for Jose Calderon, Samuel Dalembert, Shane Larkin. I love that kid from Miami. Dallas Maverick first-round pick last season. I think that he's going to turn out to be a really good player. Wayne Ellington, young kid from North Carolina, who was a top 10 pick at the time coming out of that class with Ty Lawson and Marvin Williams that year when North Carolina had a lot of really good assets coming to the NBA. Also, the New York Knicks jumped back into the NBA draft this year. They didn't have no draft picks, so they get the 34th pick and the 51st pick from Dallas. Now, Knicks fans are probably happy because they weren't really too fond of Raymond Felton. They really weren't too fond of him. Why do I say that? They felt like he was a bust. They didn't enjoy Felton's time on the court when he was in New York. They just didn't like it. Tyson Chandler, I like it. He's going back to Dallas where really he was outstanding during his time when he was in Dallas. Glad to see him maybe revise his career. And by the way, Carmelo Anthony, who did opt out to become a free agent this week as well, he's thinking about visiting Dallas, Houston, two teams that he could end up with in Chicago as soon as July 1st hits. Now, if I'm looking at the Dallas Mavericks, I'm saying, wait a minute. Why do I want to go back to a team with Chandler and Felton? I just played with them last year. Maybe this trade second guesses Carmelo Anthony and his thoughts on where he wants to go. My eyes, I think Houston would be a good fit for him. I think it'd be good for him for him to go to Houston to play with Dwight Howard and James Harden. People are saying Chicago's a good fit. Is he really going to... I don't think he can play... He's not a defensive player. And I think he only goes to Chicago if Derrick Rose is fully healthy in my eyes. That's just my take on it. I really believe that if Derrick Rose is healthy, it's a no-brainer. Go to Chicago. But if he's still having a couple, maybe small tears in that ACL, you might be thinking, man, I don't know. And again, we all wish Derrick Rose the best. Here, I want to see Derrick Rose on the court. I would love to see Carmelo Anthony and Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah play together. Joakim Noah is a very underrated player in the league. One of the best defensive players in the league. Again, I call him like a Dennis Rodman type of player. In my eyes, I really do think I think that'd be a good fit if they're all healthy. Another trade that went on earlier today, the Denver Nuggets and Orlando Magic. They made a trade again. You remember a couple years ago, Aaron Aflalo was a part of that trade that sent Carmelo to New York, and Howard was in a big mess and all that stuff. Well, Aaron Aflalo is back in Denver as today. The Denver Nuggets and Orlando Magic made a trade that sends Evan Fournier and the 56th pick to Orlando for Aaron Aflalo. I'm a big fan of Aaron Aflalo. If anyone knows me, I'm a huge fan of this kid. I'm happy to see what he can do when he's back in Denver, because in my eyes, he kind of faded away when he went to Orlando. Did he not? He really kind of faded away. No one heard much about him, but he was a hot prospect. OKC wanted him. So he goes to a division rival where he's played before back in Denver. I really think that move can help the Denver Nuggets as long as they can stay healthy. Rumors are going around that Kenneth Faried might be in a trade with Wilson Chandler to trade for Kevin Love. I don't know if Kevin Love will sign a long deal with the Denver Nuggets. Kevin Love and the Golden State Warriors are involved in another trade as well. There's a lot of stuff going on today. So I'm excited to see what happens in this NBA search as we got the NBA draft tonight coming up here. We're going to touch on more NBA news and notes coming up here later in the show after we get a couple interviews done with here. Again, follow us on Facebook, Sports at Home Radio. You can follow us on Twitter at Sports at Home VNG for right now. Follow me, Real David Vito, on Twitter as well as we take our first break. Ian Thompson's coming up next right here, talking World Cup, baby. Hope you guys enjoyed it today. We'll talk what's up next for USA, and much more. You guys are listening to Sports at Home, the real David Vito Show right here. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. This is the David Vito Show on Sports at Home with, today, Jesse Valdez is in the studio today. Jesse, it's good to be back, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always fun.
And as always, you guys can follow us on Twitter, Sports at Home, VNG, on Facebook, Sports at Home Radio. But today, big news out of soccer, the World Cup today. USA won, but they lost today. And as always, the only insider that brings you all the latest news from soccer inside and outside of America is Ian Thompson at Sports at Home FC. Ian, how you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Good, Ian. So, we were talking a little bit earlier today and throughout the weekend as USA was playing. Today, they really nailed the coffin, didn't they, even when they lost?
Yeah, I mean, it's the funny world of World Cup group play, but, thankfully the other result went our way, and Portugal didn't score too many goals, or Ghana scored too many on themselves. So, even though we had a loss today, it's kind of interesting. It feels like a win, and then our draw on Sunday or against Ghana felt like a win, or a loss, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
It's a funny world we live in with World Cup action.
So, we seen the draw against Portugal on Sunday. Ronaldo really had a killer assist to really send that game to a draw and crush all of America's hearts. Today, he got the game-winning goal, and all of a sudden he's an American hero, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not his biggest fan, but, he's a fantastic player, and fantastic players rise to the occasion, and he was able to do that today and help us out a little bit. So, many thanks to Ronaldo for, getting us through that group stage.
So, speaking of him and Portugal and Ghana, this is so-called the death group I've been hearing and been referring to all over social media today. What made it the death group, and how did the United States, how were they able to get out of it?
There's always at least one, this World Cup, it's arguably two. There were two group of deaths, and that's just when you have three very good teams in one group, and then typically there's one fourth team that could either be good. It was kind of the case with our group, the U.S., but, there's groups that, for whatever reason, the balls fall where they may, and there's one group of powerful teams that you can make a case for anyone to get out of. The U.S., I think, was able to do really well. They got that first win against Ghana, which they absolutely had to do. I mean, going back to that, it's just so massive. And then, unfortunately, playing last Sunday against Portugal, we could have, come out with the full 3 points. But, like you were talking about, that late great goal assisted by Ronaldo, none other than him. But, the groups of death are definitely fantastic to watch. I mean, Group G for the U.S. was a difficult one, but I think the hardest one was Group D with Italy, England, Uruguay, and Costa Rica. I mean, going into the Cup, everybody would argue, Italy would go through, win the group, and then it'd be a toss-up between Uruguay or England, and Costa Rica would just be a story that's kind of, they're happy to be here. But Costa Rica came out, actually won the group. Italy and England, the two teams that I had thought would go through, were knocked out in, kind of a shameful way, and none of their fans are too happy. None of the players are very pleased, but that's the beauty of the World Cup.
We're talking with Ian Thompson at Sports at Home FC on Twitter, breaking down the World Cup action today as USA has advanced to the round of 16. Ian, we've seen a lot of teams that have been successful in the World Cup. People didn't give the United States a chance in this year's World Cup. Are people starting to believe in this team now after what they've done?
I think so. I think the belief really started to begin after that win against Ghana. I mean, really going into the World Cup, you were thinking, the U.S. has to beat Ghana. I was expecting, kind of what actually happened, a win against Ghana, maybe a draw against Portugal, and it's going to be tough to beat Germany any time. But you would think that with those 4 points, it would be enough to get us through, and thankfully, when it came down to goal difference, we had 3 better points than Portugal did due to that drubbing they took early on against Germany. So I think people are starting to get behind the team. I mean, during the broadcast and everything today on ESPN, they would cut to, all these massive crowds in, like, New York, Kansas City, Chicago. It's just a fantastic thing to see for the sport here in the U.S.
Okay, everyone's really talking about the United States today, even though they lost to Germany. Why are we not giving credit to Germany what they did today? Because they are They won the group and after beating the United States today, but everyone's only talking about the United States. Should people start worrying about Germany now since they beat USA today?